Morning, y'all. Really have some Diet Coke, but since it's 10 o'clock, we're still at the coffee level. It's good to see everybody. Much needed bye week for us. I'm excited about Thursday, being at home. Need everybody to be here. Need the students to, show up early. It's going to be I think it's got an opportunity to be a great atmosphere. And, again, y'all know our home games, man. It's just, it's special to be able to play in front of our crowd, and so excited. Practice yesterday, Barron had a full practice. I was actually just talking to J.J. Sparkman, and it's amazing whenever you start thinking about he practiced last week, but a full practice yesterday is the first time that he's had a full practice since West Virginia when he wasn't even the starter. And so threw the ball really well. I was excited to see that. Jacob Rodriguez practiced yesterday. I'm not ready to say 100% that he will play, but I'd put it at the 90%. I want to make sure that we can get 30 or more quality plays out of him. He had a really good day yesterday, so I'm leaning, I'll be able to say 100% for the game, but I'm leaning to see that, him playing, which I think really helps us at the linebacker. I think we're going to have four guys off, with him playing. I think whenever you talk about Ben Roberts and Bryce Ramirez and Josiah Pierre and Jacob Rodriguez to be as strong as we've been since week one, first quarter of Wyoming. The guys that will not play, they're not out for the year. They're just not ready to come back yet. It's Cole Spencer and Mason Tharp, but trending in the right direction as far as being able to play. Before questions, I just want to, as a high school coach or former high school coach, November 3rd, our state named November 3rd the Texas High School Coaches Day, and so I want to, say can't thank the high school coaches enough. It's awesome to be on campuses on Thursday and Friday and watching high school games. When we were out during the bye week recruiting, and man, just can't thank them enough. And there's been some great coaches hit some great milestones. In the last couple weeks, one of them is a good friend of mine and a mentor. Sam Harrell won his 200th game as an Ennis Lion, and just got through writing him to tell him congratulations. So a lot of big milestones this year for some really great coaches. But Friday's a big day for the state. It was awesome that the legislation passed that to be Texas High School Coaches Day. So just want to say thank you for everything that they do. With that, I'll open up with any questions. My coffee's black, if that was your first question.
Mine too.
Okay, good. Because it's coffee. That's right.
Y'all are 2-0 against in-state conference rivals. Another one, obviously, big one coming up this week. What effect does that have on the recruiting trail or not?
No, it does. I mean, if you look, especially with TCU, I mean, they've done a phenomenal job recruiting. And I think when you talk about head-to-head battles, we have a lot with them. We'll continue. I think kind of a combination is we're kind of recruiting the same kid, but also the same style. I mean, they're I thought last year they were the fastest team that we played all year long. And so with us trying to become a faster team, I think we end up recruiting a lot of the same guys.
And then having the bye week, a little more time to kind of self-evaluate. What did y'all work on the most for the bye week?
I think, one, it helped getting Barron back throwing, so I think the timing of the passing game with him, I think that's going to be a big difference. I think the one thing defensively that we worked on as far as just we had a lot of time with our tackling drills, different drills, being able to tackle in space. I mean, we missed a huge tackle on one of the first big plays against BYU, that should have been a gain. It was going to be probably a 5-yard gain that turned into whatever that turned into, and so tackling. And then, I think I said it last week, so I'll say it again if I didn't, but Tyler Owens is going to star, C.J. Baskerville is going to boundary safety. I mean, kind of moving some guys around. I think challenging the coaches, challenging myself, but also challenging the players of, you're going to see different combinations throughout Thursday's game of who's out on the field, and it's not, shaking up, hey, you're not playing well enough, but just remembering that this is a competition and whoever practices the best is going to be on the field. And so we're really focused on, on that and just fundamental football. I mean, that's what when you go into a bye week, the biggest thing is like what you're not doing well, and really concentrating on that.
Coach, what's the biggest thing you're looking for improving in the last 4 games?
The two things I think, on the offside side of the ball is taking care of the football. We did it, of course, you do it wasn't a bye week through 8 games last year, but a comparison of last year to this year, and the one thing that jumps out is, the turnovers, especially the last 2 games. So the thing that we've got to do to give us an opportunity to win is we've got to do a better job of taking care of the football. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think it's, getting to the quarterback and actually sacking the quarterback, and then we've got to create some turnovers. I mean, that's the thing. I think I talked about it the other day, whenever the last time we were all together, it's like, we're talking about us turning the ball over, but we're not taking the ball away, and so some of that is calls, but some of that is also catching the balls that are thrown to you. So we've got to do a good job. I thought we had a good day yesterday, and it's got to, but the thing is every time you hear coaches talking about we practiced well or we had great energy at practice or all that, that's got to carry over into a game. It's got to carry over into a game that, we're taking the ball away in the game. We're protecting the ball. That's what we've got to see. We've got to see those guys, and it's not that you're going to see any more young guys. I mean, the guys, I think that you might see some young guys on special teams to try to get some game experience, but we're playing a lot of young guys too. I mean, we've talked about the secondary guys and, Dylan Spencer. We've talked about those guys playing, so we're going to continue to play those guys. Those guys aren't redshirting, and so getting some reps out of them. But just as a whole, those are the things that I want to see.
I know you're coming off a bye week, but with the short week, I assume most of your guys cannot play a lot of Thursday night games at the college level. How does that change things for preparation?
We're lucky. We're coming off a bye week. I mean, I've done it to where we haven't come off a bye week, and you've had to totally change everything. So, like today is a Wednesday for us. Yesterday was our normal Tuesday. They got a couple of days off, so Saturday was like their Monday, and so I think a lot of it being able to do it that way because of the bye. It's just Sunday's a Tuesday. Like that. So it's just real morally the days. We've kept it the same. It was good last week to get a couple practices, in to really work some fundamentals. And with us, because we were so banged up, we might have been a little bit different. Usually you come out and you might have a heavier practice for your vets, if you're pretty healthy. But with us, I mean, we really worked fundamentals with the vets. Had a lot of individual introduced TCU, and then we scrimmaged our young guys more, and so that was kind of a difference, having that bye week. But as far as week going into Thursday, it's really not going to be a whole lot different other than the days of the week. It's just different.
Coach, I'm just curious on that flip for Baskerville and Owens. What does he do well with those positions, and kind of what went into that move?
Yeah, I think 2 things. Just evaluating, trying to become a better tackling team, but also making sure that we're getting the ball down when it does pop. CJ does a good job. I wanted to get Tyler closer to the ball. I think whenever you look at his effectiveness, he's either in the box or he's playing that roll down safety, and so wanted to see how that looked. The good thing with CJ, that's what he played at Fresno State. I mean, not Fresno State, at San Diego State. He was a boundary safety, so terminology is a little bit different, but he's really comfortable with that. And, I didn't do it necessarily. It has more to do with Tyler than CJ. But whenever you look at the big picture after this year, that's where he's going to end up going that way. So it gives me, 4+ games to look at exactly what, he's can do at that position.
And so CJ, could he look at maybe staying at boundary?
Yeah, he'll stay. That was like even after this year. If you project him next year, just because of BJ's going to be a year older. You got Marcus Ramon Edwards. They're more that style. Not that CJ is, but they're not boundary safety type guys. Marcus Ramon Edwards probably could be, but CJ was, we're looking at, hey, he's going to be there next year. This gives us 4 games, and it gives us a guy that he plays his best football here. Let's put him there and see how he can affect the game.
And kind of on that other flip, on the offensive line, how has Wilburn transferred over back to center? Were you comfortable? And just how's that gone preparing to take these snaps?
Really good. Really happy both because, the thing that Rusty does, he can move really well in space. And so that's been good to see. And then, yesterday, we had our trade periods, which are as close to game type speed that you can get. It's really good on good or 1s versus 2s. And, Dennis did a great job with the snaps. And, I sent Dennis a text last night, one of my favorite guys that I recruited out of DeSoto, Texas, and he was actually my first commit as a college football recruiter is Xavier Newman. And it was a really cool deal last night to where they said that basically he saved the Jets game the other day because he went from guard to center, and so I sent that to Dennis going, hey, this is just going to give you an opportunity, and Dennis is great and everything, but I sent it really as motivation to, really get him going because we've talked about X before. They remind me a lot of each other, Xavier and Dennis. And so it's been good. You expect Dennis, he played all last year at center, and the things that's going to be good with Rusty is he still, if Dennis, is questioned on a point or if anything that he wants to call, you can always have Rusty call it too.
Coach, haven't seen much of Josh Hoover, but your thoughts on TCU's quarterback and maybe their offense as a whole?
Yeah, they're really good on offense. If you look, they're at the high end of yards per game in the conference. He has got a big arm. When you watch him against BYU, he threw for almost, I think he had 400 yards or maybe even more. But he's got a big arm. He's really strong. He's an ex-baseball guy, so, he really can throw the ball. Passing game and everything, they're very similar to what they were doing with Chandler. You get probably a little bit more RPOs with Chandler and, him running the ball a little bit more. But as far as strength of his arm, it's really impressive how fast he gets it out. That's the one thing that whenever you look, if you put a stopwatch to it, he gets the ball out really fast, and he's pretty accurate. And then they have one of the, whenever you look right now, the battle of the backs in the Big 12, you've got, the kid at OSU that's, had a huge game the other night. He's had back-to-back 200-plus yard games. And then you got the kid at Texas. You got our guy, Taj, just had such a great year. And then the Bailey kid at TCU. They do a good job, man. And that's the thing that with Kendall's offense that people have always it's a throw the ball. But they do a great job rushing the football. He did a really good job whenever he called it at Baylor of, running the football. And number 9 is, he's an explosive back. They're big up front. So it's going to be a tough test for our defense.
What did Kansas State do so well that you guys can maybe mimicking it?
I think they created turnovers. If you think about it, I think I could be wrong. I don't know if he turned the ball over 3 times, but I think he turned it over at least twice. So I think that's a big part of it. I think the pitcher, he showed them different pitchers as far as defensively, to where, I think that's one thing that we can do well, that we've done well, as far as trying to hide some of our coverages. And so I think that's going to be a big part of the game. The game within the game is being able to hide the coverages and not giving him a chance to know exactly what we're in.
TCU offense that plays really fast. They average some of the most plays per game in the country. What's the conversation been like with your defense, especially when you're moving guys around, incorporating some new faces?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we're lucky that we kind of face when we go good on good that we see some of our tempo and everything, so we'll be able to get lined up. I think that's a big part of it. That whenever you're facing tempo teams, is just being able to get lined up and communicate, and so. I think that's going to be a huge part of the game on both sides of the ball, because when you get a healthier quarterback, then you're on our side of the ball, we can tempo more. We don't have to slow things down, and feel like we've got to be just in a perfect play because of, Barron's arm and how far necessarily what we could do in the offensive game. And so I think the tempo on Thursday night for both sides of the ball is going to be a big factor of who can get lined up, who can communicate. Again, that's a good thing. Whenever we go good on good, we see it every day, and so we've got to go through our communication. And the great thing, whenever you're talking about a couple of new faces or those guys moving, you're talking about guys that have played a lot of football, and it's a little bit different whenever you get the young guys out there. We've got to do a good job. We do have young guys out there, like they need to be paired up with Rabbit. They need to be paired. You got to be careful, of like having 2 or 3 young guys out there against their tempo. It could happen, and we'll be ready for it.
Coach, the last time y'all were at home, it was kind of a tough loss that left a couple of fans a little maybe upset. What's kind of your message to them and then to your own team, maybe playing with some fans against y'all more than for y'all right now?
I don't think there's any Red Raiders that are against us as far as wanting to win on Thursday night. I got to talk to the Petroleum Club. I went to Midland and spoke, and it's kind of like, I've said it before. I mean, I'm ready for Game 3 as a Ranger fan. So I'm a fan. I get everything that everybody feels, but you know what? I'm gonna root for the Rangers tonight. I didn't abandon them after they got beat 9-1. I'm right there with them and hoping that they have a great night. And I can't wait to watch them. And so I think it's going to be interesting being a Thursday night. It's a little bit different because the travel and stuff like that. But I expect our students to come out and. I wished it was right before Halloween because I'm sure there'd be some great Halloween costumes in the stands, and maybe they ought to anyway since it's the week of Halloween. But I expect everybody to be behind us because at the end of the day, the diehard Red Raiders have been diehard Red Raiders for a long time, and I don't think that ever changes.
Coach, Taj is a little bit over 100 yards from breaking his 1,000-yard mark, and Tech hasn't had a rusher do that since, I think, 2015. Can you just talk about how important that's been all season long, even with the season that y'all are having as a whole? Yeah, man, he just came in. I just saw him. Man, he is everything you want in a football player. He's one of those guys that, if he has 50 yards, if he has 150 yards, if he has 170 yards, he's the exact same guy. He's going out there and all he wants to do is win, help his team win. And, I think that, he's got a chance to, really finish this year off as like a single season of having one of the better seasons that a Texas Tech running back's had. I know he's going to have a great game Thursday night. I think it's important to him, but also, the one thing that it's always really important to the offensive line, whenever you have guys, they take a lot of pride in running the football, and so I think it's going to be a big part of Thursday night's game. Both sides of the ball. It's going to be a big part of, us stopping the run and us being able to establish the run. I do think that it's going to help having a healthy quarterback out there, that now could open up some even bigger run lanes for Taj. What a kid, though, man. I can't think of many guys that I've been around that's more of just a pro and a guy that comes to work every day and does everything right, getting his body ready to go play.
Joey, how confident do you feel that you can, and what can you do to go about replicating the kind of November and finish that your team had last year, especially given the fact that it's a lot of the same guys?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the us being healthier is going to help. I think really concentrating. I mean, it was a great question about the bye week. I mean, the thing is, what are we doing well? What are we not doing well? What plays that we call on both sides of the ball are being effective? That was a lot of the like self-scout. Sometimes, I've said it before, sometimes there's calls that make you feel good, but they're not effective calls, just because, that's something that you're feel good about. So eliminating some of those that are not effective calls. I think, it's funny, I think the shuffling are not even like, because of the injuries, because we're still healthy enough to play Rusty in the offensive line, I think the move is going to help us. It can't hurt us. We had 26% of our snaps that were not where we wanted to be, so it can't hurt us. So the things like moving T.O., moving Rusty, getting Dennis, I think can help us get going. And it's one game at a time. I mean, this is a big game on Thursday for a couple of reasons. Number one, TCU is an opponent that, whether it was in the Southwest Conference, the Big 12, or now the new Big 12, that's somebody we're going to battle constantly in recruiting. It's somebody that is going to be a big game every single year, that they're on the schedule. And so Thursday's a big part of what we're trying to build here. And it's also a team that's a year removed from the college football playoffs. And so we understand that. And then Thursday, again, trying to go 1-0, that's a big part of, you've had a bye week. Did we learn from our mistakes? We've had extended time to learn from our mistakes. Do we become a better team on Thursday? And that's a huge part of what we got to do. And then you build off of that. You just take it 1 week at a time, because there's no win out there Thursday that's going to get you any closer to some of the goals that we have.
Also, from your self-scout and evaluation, what do you attribute the lack of more success to from the wide receiver and inside receiver core, and how do you get those guys going in the last month?
One is having a healthy Perry Morton. I mean, that's – I mean, you think about this, like we've played 6 quarterbacks in the last 2 years. And the 6th quarterback that we played, even though it's just, 3 of them are the same, is a true freshman, and so I think a lot of the success at the receivers, whenever we're lucky that we have receivers that, man, they just want to win, because you could have a locker room of a bunch of guys griping and, hey, I want the ball, I want the ball, I want the ball, and them understanding like this is where we're at. And we're trying to find a way to win the game. I do think yesterday looked a lot different than a lot of our practice up into that point. And it's because, we have a healthier quarterback that's a vet, that brings energy. And he brought a lot of energy to practice yesterday. It's got to translate to Thursday, though.
Anything else?
All right. Thank y'all. Great seeing y'all. See y'all Thursday.
All right, Coach, we'll start with Jarrett to your right.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Coach. Can you discuss the position switches with Owens and Baskerville?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at moving CJ to a boundary safety where he had played a little bit more, at his previous school. And we're just, trying to get our best guys in the best positions to make plays. We think that moving Tyler closer to the line of scrimmage to take advantage of his speed off an edge, his ability to play on a slot receiver, we just think matchup-wise that may give us some advantages there.
And then what has Jalen Hutchins meant to your defense these 2 seasons?
Well, I tell you, he's really kind of the heart and soul of what our defense has been about. I mean, he's a guy that shows up with a lunch pail every day at practice, goes out and practices hard, and it translates on Saturdays. He's, stature-wise, not the first guy you're going to pick off just because he's, a little bit challenged vertically. But he plays as hard as any defensive lineman I've ever coached. He goes extremely hard, and that's where he gets his plays, is that he just goes harder than the guy across from him. And he'll chase the ball all over the field, and when he gets there, he's going to be productive.
Coach, I know it's not a guarantee to have Jacob Rodriguez back, but could you talk about, if he was back, what kind of an addition that would be to your defense right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge loss for us just because Jacob, one, the athlete he is, he possesses all the measurables, the size, the speed, the instincts of playing linebacker, the experience from last year, and his leadership. Everybody on our team, respects him, looks up to him, his work ethic, how he carries himself. So having, just his presence has been missed. Guys have stepped up. I've been really pleased with the way Ben stepped up. But getting him back, obviously, adds to our depth. And I think it's just a comforting presence for the players around him as well as our coaches. When he's in there, because of the experience, because of his communication, we just feel like we can play at a different level.
Coach, you've only had a couple of games of Josh Hoover. What have you seen from the tape that you've been able to watch with him?
Yeah, really good hose. I mean, that ball comes off his hand. It looks different. Good-sized guy, athletic. I don't know that they've been using him in the run game as much as they used Morris. But when he throws the ball, it's impressive. It comes off his hand really nice, and in Coach Browell's system, he's going to be able to throw. They're going to have you throw the deep ball, and he throws a good deep ball.
Coach Browell's system, they also run the ball a lot through that passing game. Your thoughts on their running back and defending the run?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I've had to go against Coach Browell's and his offense for a while now. There's a reason he's been uber successful. He's taken spread concepts, air raid concepts. But if you're just throwing the ball, people can come up with some answers to slow you down. What I've really been impressed with him over the years is how he runs the ball, is committed to running the ball, and then mixing that with the vertical passing game. And it's puts a lot of stress on defenses. You got to make decisions. Are you going to be a light box and try to play pass? If he does, he kills you in the run game. Or if you're going to load the box up, they're going to take their shots. And so you got to do a good job with, mixing coverages, disguising coverages, and hope that maybe you can confuse, the quarterback a little bit by the looks that you give. But really, it takes a tall task to slow that offense down with what he does to it.
Coach, obviously back on CJ, but it's obviously a different position. But when you're playing an air raid concept like this, is it different for him, and how confident are you in his, abilities? I know we've already played that position, but how different is it in your system?
Well, there's a lot of similarities in what we ask our boundary safety and our star to do. So in certain coverages and certain looks, it's going to be very, very similar. But I think what it does is just gives him an area where maybe he might be a little bit more comfortable. And then gets Tyler closer to the action. We need playmakers off the edge. Not that CJ wasn't, but Tyler brings a different speed. And I think his man coverage ability also can, help us there in the slot.
Kind of on a similar note, how have you assessed your corners so far this season? How do you feel that they've played through it?
Well, I think Malik has stepped his game up. He's leading our team in interceptions. I think he's practiced harder, and it's shown on Saturdays. We've been okay at the other spot. I think the competition, bringing Braylon in, has made Rashad play better. Want to get a little bit more production out of him, particularly when he's got to read run and be able to fit. But Malik has really, I think, all the corners stepped up for us.
This bye week will kind of help you guys maybe regroup after, I guess, the last few weeks.
Well, there's a couple things that happen in a bye week. One, your players, we've been going every single day, it seems, from first week of August, and just their bodies, the wear and tear of football on them, they needed some time away from us. From a mental decompression standpoint, I think they needed some time away from us. And I think it showed yesterday at practice, had a really good practice yesterday. They came out with great juice. I've been some schools in the past where, you're having a disappointing season relative to the expectations coming in, and you get to week 9 and, maybe they're trying to just bear through practice. But our guys came out and practiced hard yesterday in anticipating playing better than we've played to any point this season. To me, the mark of good teams, good defenses, is that you play better in November than you did in September. And if our guys are working every day in practice, we should be that type of team. It helps, potentially getting Jacob back. That I think that'll be a big boost for us. But it's competition on the field every day going against our offense, having competition within the position that if someone's having a down day, you get the next guy up. And that constant competition helps guys improve as a player and helps us as a unit improve.
With not being able to force turnovers, what's kind of the focus this week to try to get back onto that?
It's something we work on daily. It's something that, part of it is, you got to get people a lot of times into third and pass situations. We didn't do that as much as we needed to in our last game. When you can get after a quarterback and confuse him with different pass coverage looks, give time for your rush to get there. But if you're playing a lot of 50-50 downs, or you got to play a little bit more generic coverage-wise, it's harder. You've got to have guys who violently, tackle the football and get it out and separate it from the ball carrier. You do that a lot of times with veteran players that are playing freer, that are playing fast. When you're playing with younger guys, they're more concerned with just getting the ball down. And not to disparage them, that's just how it kind of goes with younger guys. But it's something that I think our guys are getting more and more comfortable. And last year we were slow early on, and we came on at the end of the season creating takeaways. And this last third of the season, I hope our guys do the same.
Tim, speaking of safeties, have you felt about just the progress of the young guys this year with Jordan Sanford and Chapman and Brenda Jordan?
Yeah. I've been really pleased with all three of those guys. We knew coming in, they all got here early, so we saw the physical ability in them, and I think all three of them have come in and not necessarily played as true freshmen. I mean, they played physically, but mentally they're not playing like true freshmen. They're playing like guys that understand the defense. They obviously have some growth to go. But shoot, I think Brendan Jordan's played a lot of snaps because of CJ being dinged up and out a few games. He had to start in the Oregon game, and has played really well. There's been times where the things in the game we got to work on. The same thing with Chapman and Jordan Sanford. Those guys have been pressed into action, maybe a little bit ahead of what they anticipated and we anticipated, but they didn't flinch, and they're going out there making plays. I think it really bodes well for us in the future. But it's hard to play great defense when you're playing with a lot of true freshmen on the field. But in the spots they've been in, we really haven't had a lot of situations where they've had major busts. We've had a couple, but not a lot of major busts with them.
And given that Malik and Rayshad both will be out of eligibility after this season. What's the progress been with the young cornerbacks? Obviously, we've seen Lux, but what about Jalen Peoples and Maurian Horn?
Yeah. I really like where Mo Horn's at today. Early on, he was playing well in spring and early camp, but then he got dinged up. He was out for maybe 4 weeks or so, and so obviously his progress got stalled. Jalen Peoples has been up and down. I think he's got the ability to come in and be a guy who's a contributing guy in the two deep and in the rotation. He's got to work on his consistency. But since Mo's been back, he's gotten better every week. And, I keep talking to Coach Yates. We got to play him a little bit more because I think he's earning it during practice.
I think that'll wrap it up. Coach DeRuyter,
Mm-hmm.
who wants to kick it off?
Coach, you're matching up against the top 15 offense in the nation. How do you feel like you compete with them, and how do you keep up with that kind of high offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just starts with, first and foremost, protecting the football and not giving the other team the ball more. That's kind of been our deal. It's killed us the last 2 games. And, clearly I think having a healthier Barron back out there is going to be good for us. And, again, we just got to keep, trying to establish the run when we can and then hit our shots in the pass game, which we've got to improve in that area for sure. But, again, first and foremost, just protecting the football. And I think if we can protect the football, that'll keep us in the game for sure.
Just had 2 receptions last game. Is there any intention to kind of get him back into this after having that great game with Kansas State?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're trying to get all those guys involved as much as we can. Clearly when you look at how much we've thrown the ball this year, especially in comparison to what we had done the year before, there's just not as many balls going around. So definitely want to try to get all those guys involved. Those guys are doing a really good job. And again, they're unselfish guys that have been awesome through this, kind of year for us and really, leaning on the run game more than we had in the past. Would like to get all those guys involved. We got to see how the flow of the game goes and kind of, how we're doing in the run game and, how we're throwing the ball as well.
Coach Wilburn moving back to center, what does he mean to your offensive line, and does that change anything for you as a play caller?
No, the good thing about having him back is, he did it all last year, and so that's huge for us. He's a good anchor. He's a really strong guy, so that'll be good, especially when you do play a 3-down team like TCU, where you're going to have a zero nose every single snap pretty much. That'll help us. And then, being able to move Rusty over to guard, he's looked really good. He's a really athletic guy that can get out and run and do some of those things. So, again, I think the biggest thing about moving Dennis back is he has that experience, and he did it all 13 games for us last year.
And then the running back room, some of the younger guys, I know it's different during the season, but what have you seen from them, and who do you expect maybe to play in the coming years?
Yeah, I think Anquan Willis is a guy to really look at moving forward. He's a big back that likes to run downhill, but's kind of got some elusiveness to him that you wouldn't, maybe feel like when you see him because he's such a big dude. Bryson Donnell's coming along. Clearly we're hoping for a huge future for Cam Valdez as well. We're hopefully, in the recruiting classes we have coming up, got some guys we're looking forward to as well.
Coach, I know y'all don't keep up with yards during the game or anything, but Taj just getting close to 1,000 yards hasn't been done here since 2015, and y'all still have several games left guaranteed. How important has it been to have a guy like that on your offense this season?
Yeah, I mean, especially with kind of the ups and downs we've had at the quarterback position, being able to lean on him has been awesome. Can't speak highly enough of Taj and his leadership and just kind of how he's been all year for our football team. He's been awesome, and I think I heard Coach McGuire say it. He doesn't really care, if he touches the ball 5 times or 35 times. He just wants to win, and clearly these last few weeks we've really leaned on him. I'd be really shocked if he doesn't totally eclipse 1,000 yards, and even more so this year. So looking forward to, again, he's a huge part of what we're trying to do right now. And so, I'd love to see him get to that milestone this Thursday night.
Coach, how would you assess your wide receivers thus far? I know that, you haven't had consistency at the quarterback position, but how would you, go about those guys at this point?
Yeah, those guys are doing a good job. We've rotated a lot of guys, and a lot of guys are getting some different spots here and there, and you may even see a little bit of that again this Thursday. Again, just trying to find certain niches that certain guys are good at certain things, and trying to really use those guys to their strengths. But again, man, I mean, I think they've done a good job. Whenever the balls aren't being thrown around the yard as much as they have been, what you really look at is consistency and route running and blocking on the perimeter. And I mean, you got guys like Xavier White and Miles Price and Koy Aiken, those guys, man. I mean, they're doing an unbelievable job on the perimeter and being, again, unselfish teammates and blocking for the run game and blocking for the perimeter screens and some of those things. And again, whenever the ball's not being thrown around like that, those are some of the things you're looking at, and those guys are doing a really good job.
Both coaches have already talked about it, but sounded like yesterday was pretty good practice for everybody. And how important was it to get Barron back for a full go, and how does he feel going into Thursday?
Yeah, it was awesome. Again, our kids came to compete. Yesterday it was a really good Tuesday practice for us, and having Barron out there is awesome. He brings a different energy. Of all the guys in the quarterback room that I've been around here the last couple of years, he's got that a little bit more juice to him, I guess, if you will. He likes to have a lot of fun at practice, high energy, hooping and hollering, yelling, getting the guys going. So having him back out there was good for sure. And just being able to get him back out there and in the pocket and feeling the rush and some of those things, to me is very vital for his growth over the next few years of him being here. And so that was really good to have him back out there. And again, just a leader, a guy that's played, and a guy that our guys lean on. It was really good to have him back out there.
And with TCU playing the 3-3-5-ish kind of deal, how do you feel it is for you to beat them, and then how important is it that Barron played them last year to see that scheme?
Yeah, I think it was good. Him and I, we talked a lot. We felt like we had some really good stuff against them last year, and just part of the schematics of how the offense works, we took some one-on-one shots instead of taking the progression-based, if you will, because you had your one-on-one on the perimeter, and we got to make more plays on those balls. We didn't do a great job on some of those 50-50s last year, we felt like. And this year, when you go back and watch the tape, if we would have got through some of the progressions and not taken those one-on-ones, which, again, he took the one-on-ones, which was a good call. But if you look at some of the progressions we had some guys running open. And so just being able to, when we hit those guys, we got to see those progressions when we're in those windows and we're wide open. We got to hit those shots. And then, again, just he's not even close to the same player that he was last year. I mean, and he'd be the first to tell you that, how much he's grown mentally, how much he sees the defense now. We're watching the game from last year, and he's in there calling himself an idiot. He's like, why would I do this? Why did I do that? None of this stuff doesn't make sense. And so that's important for sure, that he's played this defense last year, and again, just now the growth mentally and physically of where he's at. He's 20 pounds heavier now than he was at that game last year. So that'll, just all that stuff morphed into one's going to be huge for him.
Anything else for Coach Kittley?
Now that he's healthy, I mean, how much more of the playbook, you know what I'm saying, how much more can he go downfield? Because a lot of the stuff was short, not putting much stress on him. I would imagine if he was a full go yesterday at practice, that opens up a lot more for you guys.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of that's going to predicate off the run game to a certain extent too. But if he can let it ride, we need to let it ride. That's one thing that we, Coach kind of mentioned our comparison first games, 8 games from last year to this year. We haven't been able to hit the deep shot as many times this year as we had last year. So if we're able to stretch that defense vertically a little bit more, which I think his arm will be ready to do that. I think that's huge, again, because the more you're stretching them vertically, the more that's going to open up the run game. And then the more your run game, and conversely, that comes up, now you're going to be able to take the shots over the top because now they're going to be squeezing down for the run game. So we feel like we got a good plan, definitely going to try to open it up a little bit more, again, but also realizing that, 28's the hot hand right now. We got to keep running 28 as well.
Any final questions? All right,
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
We'll start out with Justin, coach right here on the right.
Coach, I'm just curious, return game, obviously maybe doing a little too much sometimes. Just how do you feel, I guess, Dre and those guys have done this season?
Oh,
to this
great.
point?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. I think I told you guys the first part of the year. I don't think I did a good job last year, just schematically, whatever it was, personnel. And that was kind of the thing that we had to fix because I thought we had some guys that can do some stuff with Miles and Dre, X-White. So that was kind of one of our off-season goals, just to get better in the return game, and I think we've done that.
And kind of on the opposite end of that, with McNamara flipping the field as well as he is right now, how key of an asset has he been so far?
I think, probably one of our biggest weapons, obviously. I think he's one of the biggest weapons in the conference, or probably nationally, what he's done. Not only from just flipping the field, but also putting balls inside the 20-yard line. I think he's up there, one of the top. The thing that people with Mac, it's not only that he can hit a ball and change the field, but he also, the hang time's a big deal because it allows you to cover. There's a lot of guys that, hit the ball 60 yards, but they only got a 3.7, 3.8 hang. Well, then, that allows you to have some returns. But what he does is he puts the ball up in the air, makes it easier for us to cover. So hence our punt coverage has been a lot better because of that.
Also, kick coverage.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious with Reese. I know you were talking about him putting it through the end zone, but it seems like when he hasn't, the kick coverage has gotten him down
I think
inside the 20.
part of that is, kind of from a selfish side is you like to kick the ball in the end zone, but as well as we've covered, I kind of want people bringing it out because we're getting people, I might be wrong, I think we're somewhere around 17, 18 yards of return. Well, that's better than getting the ball on the 25-yard line. So, yeah, it's kind of a twofold deal of you don't want to, give them a return, but I do love watching our guys cover because they're running down there and they're making plays. And, when you're taking 7 or 8 yards away every time you're kicking the ball, that kind of adds up. If you kick 4 or 5 times, that's 40-something yards the way I look at it.
Hey, Coach. Taj has had a lot of carries this year. How is he doing physically overall and in terms of carrying that load?
Taj is a pro. He takes care of his body. His body's kind of one of that, body type that he can kind of take the punishment just because of the way he's built. Now, if you ask him that, I'm sure he's probably hurting. He's probably sore, but he's such a pro in the weight room. I've said it since day one. He's always the first guy here to get treatment. He's always the first guy in the weight room. Takes care of his body. So when you do that, you're a lot less likely to get hurt. But he knew that we were going to, this kind of situation we're going to end where he was going to have to, up his loads with carries and things like that. And I keep saying protection's the same thing. He's a great pass protector. So, but yeah, the way he's built and how strong he is and the shape he's in, he's able to do that.
Obviously, you have a game this week and a third of the season left. But what does the future of the running back room look like post Taj?
Well, I think you've seen Cam. We got to get Cam. My job is to get Cam where he can play every down. I don't think right now he'll tell you that he's not there yet. He's trying to get there, and that has to do with your body. Obviously, he's put on a lot of weight since he's been here. Nehemiah does some things, obviously, with the ball. Same thing. I don't know that, Nehemiah in certain situations is really good, whether he's getting the ball out of the backfield with catching it or some of the plays we got outside for him. Bryson Donnell, same thing. He's kind of more of like with Taj, type of the way he's built. And then Anquan Willis is another one that I think is definitely he's starting to come on all the time. You just can only play, in this offense, you're not going to play a bunch of backs right now. So where we're at, I feel good about it, moving forward, we've got some guys just, we got to keep on improving. That's what the off season's for, honestly.
You answered some of it there, but just kind of what do you think the split between the running backs is going to be? I mean, I'm not expecting an exact answer, obviously, but just with Taj having the hot hand and maybe being able to rest a little bit off the bye week.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, we rest him a bunch. Even during the season, I've taken some of the load off him just because we know it. In those other guys need to get reps. Because during the games, Taj has been the one getting most of the reps. So obviously during the bye week. Just letting those younger guys get a lot more reps than what Taj did. Just trying to rest him. Once again, even if we played last week, he would have been the same. I think you see Taj is, since he's been here, he comes to play every week the exact same way. He's fun to watch. He runs violent and makes guys miss also, and he's just he's an all around back.
We'll go next to Ty.
Coach, you're in the back half of the season now, and winning means more than anything right now. Is there any intensity being ramped up, or are you kind of just keeping it the same way it's been this season?
No, Ty, I was trying to win the first part of the season too. I don't really care where it is, first, middle, or last. I mean, like I told you, I was pissed off early. I'm still pissed off. I mean, I'm not going to change that. Our guys are still fighting. They're still, coaches got the same. These kids still believe in what we're doing. So that has not changed. But yeah, does it change? You're trying to get bowl eligible? Hell yeah, it does. Everybody in this room, everybody in this city, everybody around, from our cheerleaders, everybody wants to be bowl eligible, and we do, as coaches. So yeah, here's the thing though, we're not coaching any different. We're still coaching hard. I can tell you that. We're still giving everything we got, and our kids are still practicing great. We got to have some things happen for us the right way.
Kenny, I was just looking at punt return stats, and Miles averaging 20.9 yards, which I guess he's not a qualifier because otherwise that'd be second in the FBS. Yeah. But how have you felt just about what he's done as a punt returner this year and how he's done it and gone about it?
I think if you looked at those stats, you go, well, we need to give him more chances. But punt is kind of like it's like one of those deals. This week we're going to have a hard time because their punter doesn't really punt the ball that far, and he kind of hangs it up. He's probably right around 40-yard punts, and then this hang time kind of hinders you. So, a lot of those stats can be misleading because it has to do with, giving chances to get a return. But I've been, like I said, I probably I was a little bit hard on myself last year with not giving Miles more chances because he does do some things with the ball in his hand. But it's also has to do with who you're playing puntering-wise that he's going to give you that chance to get, if they do hit a low ball or they give you a ball that you can return. So, that, like I said, this week might not be the same as it was last week or previous weeks. And so that's kind of the thing with, when someone gives us that opportunity, I've got to do a good job of making sure we get the ball in Miles' hands and return it.
Just kind of a fun one for me to end it. Do you like sitting here better, or do you like standing in the sports
Oh,
performance center
definitely
better?
standing. I don't sit down anywhere very good. I like to be moving around.
All right, that'll do it for Coach.
Just go over side.
Kind of bright in here.
All right, we'll get started with Miles Price. Who would like to ask him the first question? We'll start with Justin here. He gets the mic.
I got to pick up the mic. Oh.
Miles, how different has it been in practice with Baron Morton being fully healthy and being able to throw the rock around?
I mean, I'm gonna have the same job regardless with Baron out there or not. So I mean, it is I guess a confidence booster to see him back out there. You know, I enjoy having Baron out there. So yeah.
What's been, I guess, the vibe around practice the last week or so with the bye week and getting ready for Thursday night?
With the bye week, I'm gonna say that was a much needed bye week. Got to get some players back, got to get my legs back up under me, so that's definitely a big thing. And the vibes around practice has just been like everybody control what you can control, do your job. That's the biggest thing. Like I feel like if we all do our job, we'll come out victorious this Thursday.
Does anything change for you playing on Thursday compared to a Saturday?
The week, I guess, the schedule, it definitely changes. Everything kind of gets pushed up a few days, so Just my first time playing on a Thursday. Super excited to be playing on a Thursday because I'll get the weekend to kind of relax and just watch football.
And then just, where'd you get the jacket from? It's nice.
Fashion Nova, actually. Yep.
Hey, Miles, being from the Plex, do you have any former teammates or friends on TCU that you'll be going against?
Who do I know on TCU? JoJo Earl. We used to train with the same guy. Who else is on TCU? I want to say that's it, honestly. Kind of like a family friend on the strength and conditioning staff, Justin. So other than that, I don't think I know anybody for real.
Miles, you're one of the guys who's been here through the coaching change, been here through 3 quarterbacks last year, 3 this year. How important is like your leadership on this team, seeing so much, being here longer than a lot of these freshmen, being here longer than Coach McGuire?
Right. It could be easy to, kind of get discouraged and want to just kind of BS these last few games away. But my thing is just, like Coach Juice tells us, man, be a man about it. Come in every day and do your job. That's all you got to do. Like, we can't control what's going on with other things and everybody else. All you can control is what you do. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to practice hard every day, and I expect that from everybody else.
Miles, you're in your last 4 games as a senior. Is there anything you want to accomplish personally here before your senior year's done?
Come out with these last 4 dubs, honestly. Just continue doing what I'm doing. Do what I can and just help my team get a win by any means possible.
Any last questions for Miles?
Miles, y'all finished strong last year, and a lot of your same guys are here on this team now.
Right.
What do you feel like you'll have to do to duplicate the finish that you guys had last year?
First, I think it starts with practice and how we show up every day. We got to, in order to play good on Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, whatever day we play, we have to come in and attack that week. So I just think we need to take it day by day, practice by practice, and just get to the game and do the same thing we've done all week and just attack.
I was talking to Coach Perry a moment ago. You're averaging nearly 21 yards per punt return this year. How have you felt about the job you've done in that department?
Well, I've actually been really pleased with that. Wish I could have took some of those back to the house, helped change the game in a better way, but things happen. I got 4 more games to give me a few punt returns.
You touched on a moment ago, playing on Thursday night. You left Saturday off to watch football games. What did you watch this past Saturday?
What did I watch?
Yeah.
I watched a few games. It was my girl's birthday, so we were kind of just doing our own thing, and then just sat around with Caleb and all my roommates, and we sat and just watch football, honestly, just kind of flip through all the games. My favorite game that I did watch was that Washington game, though, just because I like watching J. Polk play. I think that's exciting to see what he's doing.
Anything else for Miles? You talk very much?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I talk to J. Polk a lot.
All right, thank you, Miles.
All good?
All good.
Perfect. See y'all later.
Get Jalen Hutchings next, and we'll wrap it up. out here. Go ahead, Jared.
Hey, Jalen, you've been here a long time. What was it, 50-plus starts now at Texas Tech. What would you say you've learned the most as a player on the field through all that playing?
Just knowing how to not to quit, battle through all the adversity. I mean, I've been here for the downs, the ups, winning bowl games and, doing stuff here that hasn't been done in a long time. And no matter what the situation is, just keep fighting, and then some good's going to come out of it.
And then on the other side, I mean, just a handful of games remaining in your Tech career, just a couple more here at Tech. Just your thoughts going into the final chapter of your collegiate career.
Yeah, I mean, just finishing strong. Like I said before, been here a long time, seen a lot of ups and downs. Just trying to leave on the right note and leave a legacy that I'll be proud of for the last couple games and this season.
What do you remember from last year's matchup with TCU?
I remember that we had it was a close game to the fourth quarter, and then they kind of pulled away towards the end. Was pretty much in it most of the entire game, but we let a couple plays slip from us. I'm looking forward to this game. Actually, our D-line coach is from TCU, so he always reminds us that this game is personal. So he always keeps us in the forefront of our memory that we need to get this dub.
What do you guys need to do against this offense to kind of avoid, like you mentioned, what happened a year ago?
Yeah, I think the main thing is stopping the run, and then they like to run the inside zone, and then they like to run counter, and then after that like to do RPO. So really just stopping the run is our main thing, and then make them one-dimensional, passing the ball.
Jalen, I asked Joey about the TCU. I mean, they play really fast on offense. What's the conversation been like in that locker room?
Yeah, I mean, we understand that they're a fast-paced offense, and we go against a fast-paced offense every day in practice. So, it's nothing new for us. Been in this conference for a long time, and majority of the team's tempo, so it's nothing new for us.
Remind us, please use the mic.
Just kind of touched on it a minute ago, but with the running back, what have you seen from him? And obviously they run the inside zone and counter pretty well.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the conference. He's a hard runner, very downhill guy, quick, very quick. I believe the main thing for us is going to be gap sound and not let him find little holes like that. But the main thing is just being gap sound and doing our job.
Sorry, one more. Since you were reminiscing earlier with Jared, have you bugged coaches about maybe getting another crack at running back yourself before you wrap things up here?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like I said, I've been running the ball since I was in Pee Wee, first grade, and just carried out since I was in middle school and high school. So it'll be a dream come true to be able to finish out on a high note and run the ball and scoring another touchdown like I did last year before I leave.
Jalen, with all your experience, what would you say the keys are for this team to recapture and duplicate what y'all did in November and the end of the season last year?
Yeah, I think our main thing is even last year, handling adversity. The situation that we went through last year with our quarterback, we played 3 different quarterbacks, and understanding that we can't control all the stuff like injuries and there's different things like that, but just as a defense, being able to control what we can control, which is getting off the field on third down and stopping the run and playing better than the opposing team's defense. So that's our main message that I'm trying to get, and the coaching staff is our defense has to be better than the opposing team's defense.
What is the best movie that you've seen this fall, or did you get a chance to see one last week?
The best movie. I really like Exorcist. We saw that 2 weeks before last week, but that was probably one of my favorites, Exorcist. I'm a big scary movie guy.
All right, let's wrap it up there. Thank you, Jalen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.